Some say heaven. I like to call it Iowa.
Iowa? What about Rogue Leader?
Iowa?
Yeah, I made a little detour.
Hutch, we're supposed to be going to Texas.
Welcome to Riverside, gentlemen.
Okay, I'm going to start the show now. This is it. This is Rock Hard Caucus episode 56. Starting now. My name is Justin, and I have assembled 3 of my friends. You know all of them. You know Natalie.
Hey.
I do know Natalie. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know Evan.
Hey.
And you know Alan.
Oh, hello.
It's been a while since you've known Alan, but Alan is here and he is known.
It's my first time on the podcast.
He's never heard of podcasts before.
We typically bring Alan on to be an expert on certain subjects, and I think that's what we're doing tonight as well.
I'm the problematic white guy that's not Chuck.
Or me. Or Justin.
You guys don't count.
I am not problematic.
There's nothing problematic about me either. So
I have no problems, and I don't cause any problems.
that's why you got banned from Twitter, is from having too few problems.
I didn't get banned. I got a 1-day
temporary
suspension.
Suspended from Twitter.
Oh, no, that
whatever.
was only 12 hours, I think. That's not problem causing.
I've never been banned.
I got a 12-hour suspension.
All I did was post the same video that the president posted. That can't be problematic if he's the president.
They're censoring you. They're censoring your First Amendment rights.
That is correct.
Culture.
Yeah, that is, if you're in association with the president, then you cannot be problematic. Which is why they didn't ban Trump for 4+ years.
If the president does it.
It is super weird, though, that he's just gone now, though. He's just gone. The man, he got banned, and now he's gone.
I think he did release some kind of press statement a couple days ago, but nobody read it.
Yeah, there's all these things that are like, oh, he came out and said so-and-so, but it's not the same now that he's banned. He's a banned poster.
Right, there's not that direct line anymore.
It's just not fun anymore. I don't know what to live for anymore.
I miss him so much.
Yeah.
Just put him down.
You deprive conservatives of, being able to easily trigger the libs, and, what do they resort to? Getting mad about Dr. Seuss, or,
Give him his Twitter back, at least.
Hunter Biden and his
Hunter
laptop.
Biden.
I saw that Hunter Biden went on Mark Maron's podcast.
thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And he had some kind of gun thing.
Oh, I don't know about the gun thing.
He got rid of a gun in a trash can, and apparently
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the
people are
gun thing
mad
either.
about him. I don't really know the whole story.
When I Googled gun, it was one of the first things that came up. So I was just reading
I'm
about
Googling
it.
Hunter Biden gun. Do not,
If you just Google gun, Alan.
Well, Alan probably has some specialized Google results for the word gun.
Yeah, I got all kinds of good stuff. Mostly specific accessories.
So back to what I was saying, though, we usually bring Alan on as an expert in a certain subject, and tonight he is the gun expert because there's been gun relevance recently.
Yeah, so recently Iowa changed their laws. Now we are a, quote, constitutional carry, unquote, state, which pretty much means that you can buy a gun real easily from a private party. It doesn't really change much if you buy from an FFL, which is like a gun store, but as far as buying a gun person to person, it makes things, quote, easier, unquote. The laws are kind of the same, though.
Because it was always really hard to get a gun before.
Right, I think that's the point. I don't really like the open carry stuff. That kind of makes me uncomfortable when people have guns out in the open, in public
Fucking
places.
Freaks me out. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of bad form as a fellow gun psycho myself. That I don't really like freaking people out. I like it for fun.
Well, I was under the impression that anyone who's carrying a gun is doing so to openly intimidate anyone in their vicinity. I thought that was the purpose.
Right.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, you can do that and not do that if it's concealed, which is kind of the point with some of those laws. The other thing is that you can carry, like anybody can carry, as long as you're 18 and not a prohibited possessor. So it's awkward. I'm for it, but I'm against it. It's very confusing.
Yeah, that was the part that I saw people talking about, was that you no longer need a concealed carry permit, correct?
That's correct. So now it's just you as long as you're legal, you can carry your weapon. You don't need to go through the permitting process, which was very easy before. You just needed to like take some bullshit class, basically. I mean, some of the classes were good, but a lot of the cheap classes are just kind of wank.
They're just for the purposes of like meeting the minimum requirements.
Yeah,
correct. And so there was a lot of bad shit going on, and they made it so it was quote shall issue. So when you put your permit into the local sheriff's deputy, they before they would have to approve you or disprove you, and they could make up some bullshit excuse. So there are certain places, certain jurisdictions that they would not let you get a permit just based on who was the sheriff. But then whenever they changed the law relatively recently in my lifetime, they changed it so that way it was shall issue. So as long as you have the paperwork done, basically they're going to give you your permit. And so it's always been relatively easy for me, but I'm a problematic white man, and so it's been pretty easy for me to do with that stuff.
I think Reynolds signed this bill on Friday. Okay, so you're saying, do you not need a permit like at all? Because I thought it was just about concealed carry.
No,
correct. You do not need a permit at all anymore. So before, in the old times, you had to have you either needed, and this is for pistols, you had to have a permit to acquire, or you could use your concealed carry as your permit to acquire. But your concealed carry gets you more stuff.
Right.
Wait, so you don't need to do anything to buy a gun now at all?
You do, but if you're doing it from in a private sale, so if I wanted to sell you a gun that I owned, I just have to do my due diligence. There's some specific verbiage that they use, but I have to do my due diligence to make sure I'm not selling it to you, a prohibited possessor, someone who cannot lawfully own a weapon. That's my responsibility.
No background checks if you're going to, like, it used to be, I think, that if you went to like a gun show to buy a gun, that you would have to pass a background check, or you'd have to, in order to have the permit, you'd have to pass a background check.
Correct. So that's how it worked, is that if you got your permit, then it was like, okay, you are clear because the state has cleared you to buy this. They've done a background check on you. And so that means that you're clear, basically. So, if you're selling a gun in the old times, it would be like, oh, you have your concealed carry permit, it's valid, then I am comfortable selling this to you because you are not a prohibited possessor.
What are examples of prohibited possessors in Iowa?
Felons.
And
any felon?
Children.
I'm pretty sure any sort of felony gets you on the list, and there's a whole list. Basically, if you look at the ATF form 4473, those are all the questions that you get asked.
Even if it's a felony unrelated to unrelated to gun crimes at all, you can't. Like, do you have no constitutional rights if you're a felon?
More or less, yeah.
So, there are certain questions that you get asked. One is, are you the actual transferee or buyer of the firearm? Because it's illegal to buy a gun for somebody else. So if you're buying it, it's for you. So you're saying yes to that question.
Does that mean buying a gun as a gift is illegal?
You can buy as a gift. I'm just not quite sure how that works. I think you say you're the actual transferee or buyer, and then you gift it, but I'm not really sure how that works.
You just lie on the form. Please stop pretending.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works.
Imagine thinking someone goes through that process for a gift.
Yeah, well,
they lie and then they hand it over in a package.
I know that that's a problem for gun stores, and they have to be trained on how to deal with that stuff, because they have to also be trained on how to listen for people who are doing illegal stuff and then turn them in. It's kind of their responsibility to be the one not doing doing bad stuff, and they get in trouble if they do, so they're usually kind of anal about it. Next question is, are you under indictment or information in any court for a felony or any other crime for which the judge could imprison you for more than 1 year?
So that's even before you're convicted.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been convicted in any court for a felony or any other crime for which a judge could have imprisoned you for more than 1 year, even if you received a shorter sentence, including probation? Are you a fugitive from justice?
Yes.
Yes.
Imagine someone marking yes.
Okay, here's a good one. Are you an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, or any other controlled substance?
Define addicted.
Warning, the use or possession of marijuana remains unlawful under federal law, regardless of whether it has been legalized or decriminalized for medicinal or recreational purposes in the state where you reside.
That's how those Joe Biden staffers got caught.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got
being
owned.
honest on a form like this.
Yes, they
Oh my
talked.
god.
Have you ever been educated as mentally defective, or have you ever been committed to a mental institution?
Wow, that's actually
That's-
pretty discriminatory.
Mental detective.
That's really bad.
Have you been discharged from the armed services under dishonorable conditions? Are you subject to a court restraining order restraining you from harassing, stalking, threatening your child or an intimate partner or child of such partner?
That's a good one.
Yeah, we like that one.
That's a good
question.
one.
Yeah.
But you can just say no, right?
Yeah. Have you ever been convicted in any court of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence?
So even misdemeanor. So that's
See, I really believe in that.
Yeah, I think
mean,
that's good. But the problem is that you just say no.
Right.
Yeah, the thing
everyone
is,
just lies.
it's like I'm probably the most pro gun control person on our podcast, but it's also like you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Like it's already the gun laws in this country are already so patchwork, and there's already so many guns on the streets that it's like I don't know how you effectively stop that from being a problem. And like my ideas are more like gun buybacks or whatever, but like those never they never fund them, and like they never like either pay people enough to incentivize them to do it, or they do, and then it just like they run out of money right away.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know a lot of details about this, but that seems to have worked in Australia from what people say online.
Totally.
But I don't know if it would work here because
Yeah, it was
there's a
strict-
lot of gun people that
A
love
lot
their
of
guns.
cultural
Yeah.
issues
Yeah,
with
it's
that.
very restrictive there, right? They were very anal about buying stuff back and banning stuff. And, there's still going to be a lot more people, I think, at least in the United States, who would not do that. And I think you would get a lot of pushback from the people that have them and are lawful users of them to, be forced to give them back or whatever. And I just don't think it's really realistic. And I agree with Evan on the toothpaste in the tube thing. And I don't see a good way for realistically the two sides that we have currently. Any sort of law that gets made isn't going to make anything better.
No, they'll negotiate it out to make it completely ineffective.
Yeah, the
If
best
it
they
is
can do is like the
effective, it'll
no-fly
just be
list.
it'll just be to do racism. Like,
Yeah, well, like with Iowa, it's like now we have this open carry insanity. I like the other part of it because, if you're buying from an FFL, the whole thing is you have to get a background check anyway. So it's really you're getting a background check before you get your background check. But at the same time, that also means the private sale stuff. So I think some of that would maybe be a universal background check thing, but I don't really know how that would work in practice. And it's so hard, guys. It's so hard.
But this law is unequivocally fucking stupid. Like, I don't think even...
I don't think I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, it's just sort of loosening restrictions that already weren't really doing anything.
Yeah, well, and the whole thing with a bunch of these laws is actually they're kind of made for after the fact justification, right? Therefore, hey, we caught you doing something wrong, and guess what? Now you're going away for a lot longer.
That's what really pisses me off about it. Like, I definitely understand how there is like a fucking racial aspect to it in that sense, where it's like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, there's a lot of people who have committed felonies. I mean, I've committed felonies, I just haven't gotten caught for it.
I've committed
But-
felonies
Whoa, buddy.
too.
We've
Cut
all
that out. Cut that out.
committed felonies. No, don't cut it out. It's true.
I don't care.
I didn't tell you which felonies.
Yeah.
Nothing bad. Nothing that should prevent you from
Cut
owning
that
a
out.
gun.
Cut that out.
I mean, the idea being that it's like a violent felony or aggravated felony just because the person owns a gun or
Yeah.
has a gun.
They use
Which
that
is
as an
like
excuse to
a
just
way
trump
to
up.
tack on. Yeah, to like, and
Yeah.
it's always used against Black people. So, like, I feel really conflicted about it. And also, I don't really have any expertise at all. But
Yeah.
it's pretty disgusting to me that the only people this applies to are
Yeah.
if you catch a Black person with some weed and want to make it a like violent felony instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with guns or gun ownership. In fact, I've shot Alan's guns, and it was very fun.
I've shot Alan.
I'm happy for you. I wanted to shoot Alan many times.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I don't feel that like having a shit ton of guns available and like around at all times is like makes anyone safer.
Gun culture in the United States is really weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
And it's only gotten weirder, and I think the bans on it have arguably made them more popular, and that style of gun more popular.
Right.
So
Definitely true. Yeah, I don't know how you tackle it at all, but
mandatory guns for
mandatory
everyone.
guns.
Well, that's kind of the logic.
Everyone's
Guns for
allowed
some, guns for others, little
How about
American
this?
flags for
If you get the vaccine, then you're legally allowed to buy whatever gun you want.
Well, and that's kind of the logic of the right wing to a certain extent, is that like more guns equals more safe, but at the same time they want to twist themselves into a knot to be like, we actually think those people shouldn't have guns, but we should have guns. And so it's very awkward. I mean, we can talk about how the Iowa Democrats were like, the blue lives hate this law. The blue lives really do not want to change this Iowa law, which I thought was very interesting because they're kind of in conflict with the Republicans of Iowa who were like, yeah, guns for everybody.
That is an aspect that also like bothers me in the fact that like, yeah, cops do use the justification of, oh, this person might have a gun. Like they treat every situation as like the worst possible situation that it could possibly be.
Yeah.
And so this sort of thing where like anyone can buy a gun and concealed carry it or whatever is like a recipe for cops to crack down even harder on people that they suspect of having a weapon or whatever.
Yeah, because
not that they
can
really
just
needed
suspect
any
everyone.
other fucking excuse for it, but scared cops are not good cops. And a
No,
lot of them
and
are very
I
scared.
I think it's possible to, have both. To have normal police that aren't complete psychopaths. I think it's possible to do that, though. I personally don't think that we're gonna like get rid of all cops, like tomorrow. I don't think that's reasonable or realistic. But I think we can, have more reasonable cops and also have like guns as a thing that we can do in the United States, because you don't get to do that everywhere and not have it be like shooting each other. And I don't really want to do that. So I like what we got here.
Those questions that you were asking, those are from the ATF website, I think you said?
That's the ATF 4473.
Right. And
that's required anytime that you purchase a gun from a federal firearms licensee.
Okay, so that's what I thought. At time of purchase is when you answer that. And then do they follow up on your answers at all? Or are you just
only if you break
trusted?
the law?
So it's for later. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
it
So all
doesn't
that stuff is for them to file and then go, oh, you fucked up.
You lied on this
what?
form. Yeah.
Yes. And now there's more charges.
Like, see also the entire American legal system. It's all post-justification. It's not.
Yeah.
No one gives a fuck about.
That doesn't prevent you from doing a violent crime. It just is to be more punitive later because you also lied on a government form. Yeah.
It's the same thing of like criminal deterrence. You make the penalties worse, and that's people are gonna really think about it before they do crimes and then happen to get caught with a gun later or whatever.
Right. There is a background check.
It doesn't work.
When you do purchase from an FFL, though. I'm not really sure how that system works entirely, but when you buy from an FFL, you have to get your background checked. But it's like a pretty easy process. And, if you aren't a felon, basically, it's really easy to just be like, I would like to purchase this. And then they go, okay, give me your money.
Yeah. And so now it's like as long as you're 18 and no felonies, that's
You can buy whatever you want.
Those are the only requirements. Okay, cool.
Yeah. You can buy whatever you want. Before it was like you could buy a rifle at 18, but you had to be 21 for a pistol. But now that's gone.
What is the theory there?
I think the whole thing was like you could go hunting with a rifle.
Okay.
So you could have a long gun because you can't conceal a long gun, really.
Right.
Unless you got big pants.
So it was against young people concealing.
Pistols are, you can easily conceal it.
They're the violent ones.
And it's clearly to shoot human beings.
Right, you can...
Yeah, it's defensive, quote-unquote, defensive for shooting people.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And they're labeling this constitutional carry, so that means that now, finally, the state of Iowa is in line with the United States Constitution.
Yeah, which says
We
you can
are
have
in
whatever weapons you want, of course. Whatever weapons. I mean,
and
that's
for whatever
the
the
reason.
ultimate constitution. Yeah, that's the
Arms.
ultimate constitutional carry. Is
The
like
Second Amendment rules us all.
buying a tactical nuke silo.
Tactical nuke silo.
Yeah, I have a cannon
Alan would
on my front
definitely
porch.
have a fucking tactical nuke silo. if he
Imagine
could.
what Alan
I mean, that would
would
rock.
buy.
It just kind of depends on where the water
would
level
just-
is, though.
Right, but you would never fire it. You would just like to have it, and you would like to like do all the fun little like maintenance checks and like
Yeah,
Check
that
off.
would be fun.
Check
There'd be a
off
lot of
boxes.
forms.
Check the levels. I feel like
There'd be
you-
some checklists.
yeah.
Oh man, is there like a nuclear plant simulator game?
That would be fun.
I have actually. There's like a simulator. It's like a very shitty Flash game, but like I'm very interested in like nuclear technology and like there are some like reactors that you can run and like mess around and try to like. There's one that's like based on the Chernobyl RBMK reactors.
Wow.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, you can spool them up and overheat them.
There's one where you can try to like prevent Chernobyl from happening or whatever if you like do the right inputs or whatever.
Evan, I've got a nerd check for you. Hold on. Nerd check. Do you have a Geiger counter?
I do not have a Geiger counter.
Well, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
You have a Geiger counter for your house?
Well, no, just I got one in general because they're not very
In
expensive.
general.
And
Actually, he
I
keeps
need
it on
one,
his
person at all
because
times.
I need one, you know?
I need one. Yeah.
I like just imagining
Radon
you having
levels.
a clipboard hooking to the wall and like taking it down and putting down the temperature and like just like being so happy to have your nuclear silo.
Yeah,
You would
we're
be
like
such a pool guy if you had a pool.
15 counts per minute. Not a big deal. Pretty average background radiation both here and the basement.
In the basement.
Well, I needed another source, you know?
I'm thinking of this Chernobyl simulator as kind of like JFK Reloaded, where the goal is to reenact the events like as closely as possible to the official narrative.
When are they going to remake JFK Reloaded?
I played that, it's pretty hard to actually recreate it properly.
Yeah.
But it's very easy actually to make the Chernobyl reactors melt down because they have what's called a positive void coefficient, blah, 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 graphite tips. They use water as moderator.
Natalie, do you know what JFK Reloaded is?
I don't have the faintest idea. Sometimes I just pretend. But
Well,
I know
it's-
what you're talking
It's basically a game where you do the JFK assassination.
about. Why? Wait,
Yeah.
and the idea is you just do it like as the magic bullet or what?
You get points, you get like a score based on how accurately you replicate it.
Like the Warren Commission, yeah.
But I mean, really, the most fun part of that game was like shooting the drivers of like the limousines, and they just like freak out and just start like everyone just like freaks out and they like hit the gas like super hard and just like
What is the
it had a really
purpose of
weird
that?
AI.
Well, the intent is to like debunk conspiracy theories. Like, see, it is really possible.
But
that-
that's not that's not
No,
the
I think
conspiracy
it's
theory
not
that
for
people
Is it
really
the
care
opposite?
about.
I think it's the opposite. I think it's to go, look how fucking hard it is to do this. Do you really believe that shit?
Well, I don't. Do people even like? It's not like the two gunman theory is pretty much dead, but like the Oswald was like a fucking government asset theory is pretty.
I don't know what
ripe.
I believe necessarily, but all I'm saying is doing a shot like that on a moving target with a bolt gun is very difficult. And the
Yeah.
fact that he managed it is pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, like almost like he had some special training or something.
Right.
He was MK
It's kind of
Ultra.
like Natalie's thing on the Toxic Feminine Mystique, where you're talking about
Soft
being a soft
9/11.
9/11 truther.
Yeah.
It's like you don't actually believe that, that like it was missiles that hit the building or whatever.
Right.
But
But I'm like, this isn't quite right. I agree.
Like-
I feel I'm a soft JFK truther too.
Something's
Yeah.
fucky.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
What was George H.W. doing? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good question too.
Okay, I agree with that. Okay. What the fuck was
No,
he
there's
doing in
plenty of,
Dallas, you
like-
guys?
links? Yeah.
There's too much weird shit for it to be so simple. I don't know if we're really going to be able to solve either the JFK situation or the gun control situation. So maybe we should move on to the next topic.
All right, Dad.
This will be an ongoing discussion. We will eventually find the perfect solution for guns. If we haven't already. I mean, it's to be determined, because I think this new law takes effect in July or something. So we'll see then if we have found the perfect gun utopia in July.
The guy down the street that's an open carry evangelist that walks around the corner with his AR-15 out is going to be really happy about it.
That's the guy that was hanging out at Come and Go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that even people who concealed carry, if you ask them if they're concealed carrying, they're going to say yes, and then they're going to proceed to tell you all about the gun that they're carrying.
Yeah, you want to see it?
Yeah. They're not usually particularly trying to hide it. I mean, I'm sure some of them are, but...
Well, another recent event in Iowa news. Rita Hart finally gave up and conceded and said Marionette Miller Meeks won the election, and she is officially the representative of Iowa's 2nd District. This is something we haven't talked about in a while because, it was boring, and I kind of just wanted to see where it would end up. And it pretty much ended up where we expected it to.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you thought that there was any chance that after the recount and after the state certified the results, if you thought that there was any chance that this was going to flip, then, you're fucking insane. Even if her case is strong, which I don't know, it's hard to say because I don't know. What I've seen, it's very, vague. Or not vague. I mean, there were specific people who they had pointed to and said that their votes were thrown out improperly or whatever.
Stop the steal.
But it's more about the political appetites of the Democrats. They're not going to fucking go against the state of Iowa after they've already certified the election. That's
They love rules. It's their favorite thing.
Obviously, the
Certifying
Republicans
stuff is
have
their
been
favorite.
using this as ammunition, being oh, well, looks like we're not the only ones who question election results.
Yeah, they love it. They love it.
Just
yeah.
obvious, duh. And if the situations were reversed, if a Republican lost by 6 votes and the state certified the elections, I have zero faith that the people who are really beating the drum for Rita Hart would not have the exact opposite reaction.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, yeah, it's just I don't know. I was kind of disappointed at how many people were entertaining the idea of it. I mean,
I was only in favor of it very recently because I thought it was funny.
It would be funny.
How long she was sticking it out.
It was really
Yeah.
funny.
It was kind of surprising as a Democrat, to be honest. I'm surprised she had the
That's
guts.
true, yeah.
I mean, they didn't
Yeah.
back her up at all, but,
Well, that was the thing, is they appealed it directly to the House of Representatives, which is
bad idea.
I think they had other
Nancy's
avenues,
not going to help.
didn't they?
Let me recap it a little bit for you. So, day after the election, Miller Meeks was ahead by 282 votes. There were some mistakes in the counting in certain counties. After those were corrected, she was ahead by 47, so it became much closer. And then after a recount in every county in the district, Marionette Miller Meeks was only 6 votes ahead. But at that point, the state canvassing board certified her as the winner, ahead by 6 votes. The state canvassing board is Kim Reynolds, the Secretary of State Paul Pate, Secretary of Agriculture Mike Naig, Auditor Rob Sand, and Treasurer Michael Fitzgerald. The last 2 of those are elected Democrats. So this was a bipartisan board certifying
Everyone
the
loves
election.
that.
Yeah, partisanship is a major theme of this topic, as Evan kind of already was getting into, in that if this was reversed, the people of each party would be reacting the complete opposite way. So then after they had certified the election, she, of course, went to the House of Representatives. I forget the name of whatever, committee she went to. It might be in this article I'm about to read. But she appealed to the House of Representatives, which is, of course, controlled by the Democrats currently, rather than taking any further actions within the state of Iowa.
Yeah. I think, they could have filed like another lawsuit or whatever.
They could have. And they have some excuses for that, and I think they get to it. Let me read a little bit out of this. This is my close personal friend, Brianne Pfaffenstiel of the Des Moines Register. This is her piece on the subject. She wrote this originally on March 31st and then updated it on April 1st. I think April 1st was the day that Rita Hart conceded.
So it was a fool.
It was an April Fool's Day joke.
A ruse.
Right.
A ruse.
Or no, she did actually withdraw on the 31st. My fault. But she did update this article the following day. Okay, Iowa Democrat Rita Hart claiming, quote, toxic campaign of political disinformation withdraws election challenge in Iowa's 2nd District. Iowa Democrat Rita Hart is withdrawing her challenge to U.S. Representative Marionette Miller Meek's election in Iowa's 2nd Congressional District, following what she claimed was a toxic disinformation campaign, she announced on Wednesday. So yes, confirmed, March 31st is when she withdrew. The move puts an end to a bitter, partisan fight that has rippled across the country and that threatened to drag on through the summer. Do you think anyone was talking about this?
About this?
Yeah, I find that hard to believe as well.
I
live
care
here,
about it,
and I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I live like
I think
2
she should
hours
have
away,
waited
and
a
I
day.
don't care.
Yeah, definitely.
She should have waited a day and then been like, psych.
I voted in this election, and I did not care.
Yeah, no one cares.
Other than thinking it would be funny.
I think it's funny because, like, you could have potentially made up those 6 votes.
6 votes, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between them? I can barely even tell.
There is none, so that's why it's the funniest thing.
I've mentioned before that we have more than 6 listeners in the 2nd Congressional District, so we could have swung that election.
We really could have. That's
Oh,
the
man.
funniest thing.
If only we had held our fire against Democrats. Done the good thing.
The sudden reversal also takes pressure off moderate and vulnerable Democrats who have appeared to grow increasingly uncomfortable with the possibility of voting to overturn a state-certified election.
Exactly. Like, what? Are you serious? You think the most cowardly fucking political party? They were not going to do it.
Yeah.
They were going to get squeamish about it. That would be uncouth. That would be something that Republicans would do. It's like, continue fighting a lost battle.
Yeah. Perhaps, attempting a coup.
Yeah.
That would be scary. People would be mad.
Well, you see, the Democrats don't have a problem with coups when they happen in, like, Bolivia, because, like, they're, like, supporting them.
It can't happen
I
here.
love Biden's foreign policy. It's so fucking good.
It's worse.
It's
such a
abjectly. It's probably worse than Trump, to be clear.
It's worse.
I mean, in many ways.
It's worse. I don't want to hear about how it's like Joe Biden being president is somehow better because just means that you don't give a fuck about people who don't live here.
It's the same shit, but now it has a more veneer of credibility that like fucking people who like read the New York Times and don't think it's propaganda can like latch onto.
Well, our NATO allies are on board.
I saw, I think it was Liz Lenz tweeted some shit about like basically telling people to shut up about cancel culture, which is like, yeah, of course. But then someone replied and was like, actually, I think cancel culture is bad, but I do think that we should be canceling China or like some shit like that. Like, shut the fuck up. I do not want to hear Democrats talking about fucking Russia or China ever again. Shut up.
Yes. Yes.
Donald Trump was nice to the Chinese.
But Trump rolled over for the Chinese. He took their word for it.
I don't remember
The
exactly
Chinese
what the quote
seem
was.
so much happier than us.
That was a Biden ad like a year ago, was like, oh, Donald Trump was soft
Yeah.
on the Chinese.
Yeah, that's their big thing now. Is like
all these people got rich sending stuff overseas to get built and like exporting our industrial base to them. So, it makes sense that they're upset about it now.
I've got a little bit of a statement from each of the candidates. This is Rita Hart. Despite our best efforts to have every vote counted, the reality is that the toxic campaign of political disinformation to attack this constitutional review of the closest congressional contest in 100 years has effectively silenced the voices of Iowans. There is a fact check in here somewhere, but it was not the closest contest in 100 years. It was the closest in like 50 years which is still pretty significant, but not being factual in your statement here. It is a stain on our democracy that the truth has not prevailed, and my hope for the future is a return to decency and civility.
Oh my god, my bingo card of words I hate. Got stain of democracy. I got stain of democracy, decency, civility. All my faves.
You're telling me a Democrat who lost an election wrote this? And then this is a bit of Miller Meeks, her statement. I know how extremely difficult it is to lose an election.
Yeah, she does.
So fucking many of them.
Got her
Against
ass.
Dave Loebsack of all people. That's what it took for her to win finally.
Worked.
Was to get rid of Dave Loebsack, the fucking
The Loeb.
electoral
The
champion. Yeah.
He was untouchable.
I don't know how Iowa Democrats are so bad. Like, it is amazing every time they do something, and it's like, what? How did you do that?
How could this be any worse? You just made it worse.
But for the people to have faith and confidence in the election system and Iowa laws, it was gracious of her to concede at this time. I look forward to continuing to work to represent the people of Iowa's 2nd District.
Yeah. It totally, within 6 votes, is totally within the margin of error. Like, It could have gone the other way easily. And, like, I have no doubt, like, if Marionette Miller Meeks lost by 6 votes, that she would probably be able to find 6 Marionette Miller Meeks voters who had their votes thrown out, who really actually wanted to vote for Marionette Miller Meeks or whatever.
Yeah, I imagine there are probably a lot of these in every election, but most of them are just not this close.
Right. And then, like, I don't know what the process for the recount was. And I know it's like under a short time frame, or, you know, like it's hard to like interview individual voters and like get them, you know, like I don't understand. I can see why that would be very difficult to like make a case that quickly or whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I just don't know what they expected. Like,
is she a Hillary type that's going to be insufferable and like a big baby for the rest of her life about losing? Or will she run again?
I don't think she'll get that much publicity after this.
Well, and Hillary's got way more sensational claims, you know, about like the Russians and all that shit.
Yeah, at least Rita's, like, she actually, like, has real people who voted to point to, and it's not just like, oh, shadowy figures from across the oceans were conspiring against me.
And I'll give her credit. She did try to fight back a little bit. It's just nobody backed her up in any way, shape, or form in the, you know, higher ups of the Democratic Party.
Let me get a little bit into this. So there's a section of this article, concession comes as public pressure mounts. And they talk here about how the National Republican Congressional Committee was running radio ads in the 3rd District against Cindy Axne because, well, I mean, I don't think Axne was ever supportive of Rita Hart's decision to go to the House of Representatives over this. But it's like, you know, look what the Democrats are doing, and that's a vulnerable seat, you know, since they have 3 out of 4 in Iowa now. The Republicans are, you know, making hay out of Rita Hart's attempts to flip the election.
That's a good fundraising pitch.
Democrats are hypocritical.
I've got a quote here. So there was a rally in Cedar Rapids on April 1st, so the day after Rita Hart conceded. And I got a little quote here from it. This is in the Gazette. Who wrote this? James Q. Lynch wrote this, recapping this. I guess it's a Joni Ernst rally. I don't know. But anyway.
Q.
Yes, James Q. Lynch. Inside, the atmosphere was upbeat, especially when 2nd District Representative Marionette Miller Meeks of Ottumwa arrived. Her opponent, Democrat Rita Hart of Wheatland, this week withdrew her petition asking the House to overturn the narrow results. Hart claimed 22 legally cast ballots were not counted in the race. Miller Meeks' perseverance is proof, Kaufman said, that is Jeff Kaufman, the head of the Iowa Republicans.
Not Andy Kaufman.
Oh, maybe, though.
But maybe.
Yeah, Miller Meeks' perseverance is proof that Iowans can't be bought and won't be bullied. I don't know how it proves that.
Yeah, I don't know if you're being bullied.
Miller Meeks became emotional as she thanked supporters and talked about the challenge she has faced over the past 4 months. We were in a staring contest with Nancy Pelosi. She blinked, Miller Meeks said.
That sounds very uncomfortable.
God, yeah, just staring into those vacant, weird eyes.
She blinked.
She's got like the power of like Botox injections that like probably make it harder to blink, or
yeah,
she can probably hold her stare longer because her face muscles are paralyzed.
Iowa Republicans are fired up and energized, Kaufman said. Not just an energy of defense against this federal nonsense. It's the energy of a positive party, a party that is going to have a better 2022.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
2021 is fine. Let's focus on now.
Live in the present, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say 2022. I mean, I don't know. All of of course, polling still shows that the Republicans are highly unfavorable, even compared to Democrats. But then, like, individual races, does that even fucking matter? Like, I don't know. Probably not. It's probably going to be a repeat of every other midterm election.
2022 is going to be real weird as far as the election goes, I think.
Yeah. Well, and then there's also, like, the aspect of, like, I don't know, Trump might have his picks for, like, ridiculous primary candidates that might actually, I don't know, it could backfire. It definitely could backfire if some of the kookier Trump-endorsed candidates make it through the general, or make it to the general.
Yeah. I do want to read the last little bit of the James Q. Lynch article before I go back to the Register. It wasn't a completely one-sided affair. Led by Senator Dan Zumbach, the crowd prayed for Biden, asking that he be blessed with the passion of Senator Joni Ernst, the tenacity of Miller Makes, and the desire to serve of Hinson.
I love that, dude. I used to go to like a super evangelical like church like youth group just for like social stuff because I was.
Well, you told me it was for a girl, right?
Well, a girl invited me.
Yeah.
I just went there as like for social obligations. No, yeah, I have no shame about it. But I remember specifically one time one of like the high school kids, this is like middle school for me, but I remember one of like the high school kids like led a prayer circle or whatever. And he like specifically prayed that like liberals would like not control the country. This was like George W. Bush era too.
Yeah,
so he's like he was literally like praying that liberals don't get what they want. And I was like, oh, really interesting. Because even in middle school, I was like, I mean, I was never actually a Christian or a conservative at any point in my life, thankfully. But
what church was that?
New Covenant Bible Church.
Yeah. The craziest church in Cedar Rapids.
They are nuts, dude.
I went to New Covenant Bible Church for like a year. That shit
really?
is great. Till
When
they're
was that?
like in high school. It was funny
Really?
as fuck,
Wow.
dude. It was like a bit.
Yeah. I went from like 7th through 9th grade, probably.
You got a little insight into some of that stuff? They're all fucking nuts.
God.
Yeah.
They're fucking nuts. Anyone who wants to talk to me about New Covenant Bible Church,
Oh my God.
I had the time of my life.
They had a guy come and give a speech about how evolution is bad, and what they did to like give him credibility was they played a clip from the Travel Show channel where he was on some show about like CB radios, and like there was like a show about like enthusiasts of CB radios, and apparently like
Nice.
that was his. They're like, look, this guy was on TV. Like
He's
for
a science
100%,
man on
yeah,
TV.
he knows how like radio waves work. Like
Truckers were
he knows all about the anglerfish and how it has a little light on its head that couldn't have been evolution.
Homosexual truckers are enticing young men via the CB radio.
Oh my God, I have so many stories about the place. One time they had like a prayer box, and so people could put like anonymous pray for me requests, and someone trolled them by saying like, I think I'm like want to convert to Islam. And this is like again after 2001. So like after that happened, they dedicated an entire night to like talking shit about Islam because one person trolled them.
So fucking funny. That's why I did that in high school, because they will take everything completely seriously.
Yeah. Oh, we like read lyrics to popular songs to like just talk about why they're like immoral or whatever.
Let me just read the lyrics devoid of any context.
Yeah.
I went to a 3-day fucking I've told you guys this before though, but I like a Christian rock heavy metal concert at the Unidome.
Nice.
Sorry for the
love that
tangent,
shit.
but I've got
No,
a lot of stories from
anyone
that place.
Dude, anyone who wants to talk about New Covenant Bible Church, please DM me and I'll make
Yeah.
one with Evan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those people are fucking crazy.
We were relatively lucky to be raised as Methodists.
Yes, I'm a Methodist, and so this was just because I thought it was funny, to be clear.
Yeah. Okay, and a little bit more from Senator Dan Zumbuck's prayer. He also is praying to help the president to see the light of the American people because his light has been dimmed.
Thanks to Twitter.
Well, I don't know if that's like
Is this
knock
a
at,
dementia joke?
Right, Biden's cognitive faculties, perhaps. His light has been dimmed. You know, I mean, I'm not one to shy away from those kind of references, but I don't know if it's really tasteful to include that in a prayer.
No, it's a prayer and just like
A prayer at a rally, which is obviously just a performance and not like a real like a prayer to a deity.
yeah, that's it grosses me out. And you know, I too think his brain is oatmeal, but and think it's not off limits to talk about, but like at a like pageantry, like just ugh.
Yeah, I don't think it even fucking matters. Like, he's definitely declined, but like, I don't know why that's like particularly relevant because like Joe Biden said, he is the Democratic Party now. So
Yeah. Okay. The Des Moines Register article, I just want to include like one little bit more because that'll help us transition into the other thing I want to talk about. This is a quote from Jeff Kaufman, again, the Iowa Republican chairman. The withdrawal of Hart's contest should signal to every Iowan that the fight to take back the House and Senate in 2022 has begun. Democrats shamelessly went along with this effort to usurp Iowa elections and tried to drag it across the finish line for one thing: power.
I mean,
It's time we show them they no longer deserve it.
no one
Republicans.
deserves it.
Well
None of you
known.
deserve it.
Well, yeah, obviously.
both parties are deeply, deeply hypocritical. Wow.
Noted power deservers, the Republicans.
And then I'm not going to read the whole quotes, but both Miller Meeks and Chuck Grassley, in their statements on the subject, mentioned a partisan political process and Washington partisans overruling the voice of Iowans. So that's just an interesting comparison there between like talking about partisanship and then Jeff Kaufman getting to like the real actual issue, which is who has power and who is getting more power. It doesn't matter that it's a partisan thing. It's who is taking power, who is effectively like gaining power.
Yeah, I mean, the Republicans don't. Their only animating philosophy is like, fuck liberals, like, fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
Get them out of here any means necessary. It's like, I mean, all of this is obviously just fucking pageantry or whatever. It's all like justification for all of the awful shit they want to do.
How dare the Democrats do the things that I regularly do?
It's artifice. It's a performance to mask what's really going on.
Which is nothing. There's no shift.
Well, yeah,
There's
it's
no
just,
shift. No, I'm saying like there's no power shift. It's all just agents of capital. And
yeah, it's not so much a power shift as much as it is shifting. When you say capital, it's shifting like who gets more of the capital.
Yeah.
This group of the capital
Rich
or this
people.
group of the capital.
of the rich people. Yeah.
Yeah.
These psychos or those psychos?
But speaking of partisanship and power and capital, both with an A and with an O, I have an opinion piece for us to talk about real quick to finish out the show. This appeared in the Des Moines Register on March 27th. It's by Steve Corbin. Is that someone that anyone knows?
Negative.
No, sir.
No.
Yeah, I don't know him either. It says at the end of this, Steve Corbin is a professor emeritus of marketing at the University of Northern Iowa. Ooh, a professor at UNI. We've heard from one of those before.
Professor
Marketing.
of marketing.
Yeah. What's
I
Dennis
don't want to
Clayson?
disparage any marketing professionals out there. We love them. However,
Some very important people to us.
Actually, we don't.
marketing.
Marketing is one of the most evil professions you can do. Sorry.
Dennis Clayson is also professor of marketing at UNI.
Yeah,
I forgot
exactly.
which
Case in
department he
point.
was in. Steve Corbin receives no remuneration, funding, or endorsement from any for-profit business, not-for-profit organization, political action committee, or political party.
Must be nice.
And that's good because his piece is titled, Partisanship in Iowa's Capital Must End. That's the problem that's going on in the state government is partisanship.
the real problems.
Here's what he has to say. Are the currently elected 91 Republican and 59 Democrat Iowa legislators working for you?
No.
No is the common answer from voters of all political persuasions. And
You're
Natalie.
right.
You got us. I'm hooked. Tell me more.
Well, you're going to love this next part. 69% of adults
Holy shit.
Wow. Nice.
feel political polarization and divisiveness are a very serious threat to our future.
Okay, this is a thing that drives me crazy. Polarization is good when one end is the QAnon people. Partisanship and polarization are not the same thing. Like, it is good to have a counter reaction to the fucking QAnon psychos. Partisanship is just teams.
People actually do have like very divergent opinions about things. It's like
Yeah, I've said this
And
many
it's good.
times on the show.
people just want to pretend that there's some sensible middle that exists. I mean, there is a middle that exists, but it's not fucking sensible.
They're like purposefully conflating ideology with political party. And like,
Yeah.
no, partisanship, who the fuck cares? They're all the same. But like polarization, when one pole is these fucking Nazi psychos dressed up as animals at the Capitol, then the other end needs there is no other end. It would be better if there was another pole.
Don't dress up as an animal. That's fucked up.
No, some of
Furries,
them
you're
are
on
good.
notice.
No, furries are good. Furries are good.
Not all of them. Some of them are Nazis.
Nazi furries are on my shit list.
That 69% number is from a study by the Institute for Advanced Studies in Culture.
All right.
Probably the broadest name for an organization I've ever heard. Mindy Romero, director of the Center for Inclusive Democracy, notes democracy is not strong if people, quote, don't believe the decisions of elected officials represent the interests of their constituents.
Okay, true.
If Iowa legislators were asked if they truly worked for Iowans, many would confess ideological maneuvering, voting the party line, and cuddling up to lobbyists supersedes supporting, quote, no harm legislation. I don't think they would confess that. I think that's giving up the game. Anyway, I'll let Steve speak for himself. Witness what has occurred in Des Moines since 2017, when the GOP garnered trifecta control. What an absolute mess.
What a pickle we got ourselves into now.
Iowa has become a divisive, gunslinging open carry state who limits city, county, and school board decision-making capability, permits Republican Governor Kim Reynolds to release open records requests only with her approval, and fosters Big Brother legislative power over K-12 curriculum, diversity training curriculum, women's rights, public university tenure, and big tech social media messaging. That's a
When
long
he's right, he's
fucking
right.
sentence.
When he's right, he's right.
Well, let's see how he's good at identifying the issues. Let's see how he analyzes and perhaps comes up with solutions. Iowa Nice is a myth, since Iowa is now known for anti-low-income housing, cutting benefits to the unemployed, pro-homeschooling with no accountability or oversight, repressive human freedoms, regressive state actions, and pro-voter suppression. I guess I'll repeat Alan there. Yeah.
And
He's right. All
his
right.
solution to this is to get rid of partisanship?
Well, let's see. The Iowa legislature has evolved into imposing solutions in search of a problem. If there was ever a time for bipartisanship to occur, now is the time.
Yeah, but
Why?
see, all the things that you listed the Republicans don't really consider those to be like problems. Those are like the things that they're doing, like the voter
And they
suppression.
like that. They want that.
That's what
their
their
whole thing.
explicit goal, in fact, is to like suppress votes because it's bad for them to hold on to power.
They never even pretend that when have they said that they care? They don't even fake that.
This person is very confused.
When Democrats controlled the Iowa House, Senate, and governor's office during the 2007 to 2011 time period, there were 6 Democrats, known as the Iowa Six-Pack. I'm glad I wasn't paying attention at this time.
Oh my gosh.
So the Iowa Six-Pack, who operated in a bipartisan fashion.
Yeah, because only one party actually wants to do that.
Right. Their 6 votes could kill or support any bill. They collaborated on both sides of the aisle and found solutions to some of Iowa's toughest challenges. Iowa's capital has been void of a similar bipartisan group for over a decade.
Yeah. It's like people just really have a hard time grasping that like both parties ultimately really want the same things. It's just that like, I mean, capitalism and imperialism to continue indefinitely, like obviously, but it's like Democrats literally just exist to like rein in the Republicans when they get too out of hand. That's like the only time
they
that
live in a
bipartisanship
different
even-
time. Like a different reality to like what's actually going on.
Yeah, like people always say that, again, the QAnon people are living in an alternative reality, but liberals are too.
Absolutely.
And so am I.
The many people who just
And so am I.
We all have our own. Yeah.
They're like constantly like, man, if I was a Republican, I would be so embarrassed to be supporting Trump, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Because they have shame.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you were a Republican, no, you wouldn't.
Yeah. You're not a Republican.
You wouldn't be yourself. Yeah.
I know you want to keep being friends with Republicans in your personal life because, like, they're cool. They got, you know.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, they got
Especially
money.
here.
You got money. You get to hang out, have pool parties. You know, that your kids and their kids are friends. You know, you don't want to cut them out.
It would be wise for Iowa legislators to seriously examine the bipartisanship attempts in Washington, D.C. and California as a model to emulate. In 2010, the U.S. Congressional Problem Solverz Caucus was created to ensure the needs of Americans were put before partisanship. Currently is composed of 52 legislators, 26 Democrats and 26 GOP. So 2010, what was going on then? So
That
Obama's
was
first
the-
term was
those
2009 to
midterms.
2010. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been the
The
midterm. So this would have been
crazy-
Tea
Worst
Party.
midterms ever.
Yeah, this would have been
Yeah.
Tea Party era.
Yeah.
The Problem Solvers Caucus would have been created in the lead up to that midterm election, right?
Which was a bloodbath of like
Yeah.
inconceivable proportions.
Right. But that term before that midterm was when the Democrats had a supermajority.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
this was the
and they
time,
were all about negotiating with themselves at that point.
right.
which
This
they
was
still
the
are.
time when they decided, let's make this caucus to make sure that our party doesn't
So
do
cucked.
too much.
Doesn't, yeah.
We have to rein in ourselves. That's
Exactly.
what it's about. Yeah.
Well, what do the Republicans think? We really need to see what they have to say. I know we just won the election, but what do the Republicans think?
We have to sabotage ourselves a little bit. Otherwise, things will change too fast.
Yeah. Well, like I said, they don't see it as sabotaging because, like I said, they pretty much agree with the Republicans when it comes down to the actual process of governing this country.
Right. It's not sabotaging if do-nothing centrism is what you consider to be sensible government.
Kind of unrelated, but it's pretty cool how Cuomo was like, yeah, I may have done a little sex fucky wucky, but weed's legal. Hey-o!
Yep.
Sorry about the sex fucky wucky.
Fuck you, Lucky.
Sorry about that, guys.
It's true though. That's what happened.
Yeah. Historically, the only Iowans of this caucus were former Representative Rod Blum and retired Representative Dave Loebsack.
Oh my god, Rod Blum used to get so fucking triggered on Facebook. It was so fun. My favorite thing in the world is his wife was like pathologically online. And she would reply to every single thing. He was so fun to bully. R.I.P. Rod Blum.
But he was in the Problem Solvers Caucus, so he was in there solving problems. It's not fair to bully him.
Wait, one of them was Rod Blum? No, it wasn't.
That's what I just said.
No, I mean, like, that just blows my mind.
It doesn't
Yeah,
make
yeah.
sense. Yeah.
It is weird because he wasn't really like
he
a
was incredibly partisan.
centrist guy. Yeah,
Yeah, he was like
No.
a Tea Party guy,
He
wasn't
was
he?
a Tea Party. Oh yeah, big time.
None of Iowa's current congressional delegates are members of the Bipartisanship Caucus. This, in and of itself, speaks volumes. Since its creation, the Problem Solvers Caucus has proposed, supported, and passed bipartisan legislation on healthcare, infrastructure, gun control, and budget negotiations. 4 topics where things are going just fucking great in this country.
No problems here,
We've got
folks.
the best healthcare.
Wrap it up.
We've got perfect infrastructure with no problems. Gun control is no longer a concern. The budget
budget.
Balanced.
Lower them taxes, baby. Fucking cut them social programs. Both parties agree. Cut those taxes.
I'm Joe
fuck paying for
Manchin,
social
and
programs.
I don't know if we should do that. I think we should do a little bit less.
Yeah. I just love to remind people that Obama tried to cut Social Security benefits.
Mm-hmm.
That grand bargain. That grand bargain. I wonder, these people would love that. Like, if there was another, like, cut government spending and lower taxes bill, they'd be like, hell yes, bipartisanship works again.
Yep.
While the rest of us fucking suffer.
The group has apprised President Biden of 11 areas where there is an opportunity for bipartisan cooperation and solutions. I wish he would have listed the 11 areas so that we can then track their progress over the next 10 years and see how things get defunded and just completely turn to shit because of the Problem Solverz Caucus.
I wonder if this guy thinks the filibuster should be abolished.
I'll do a quick Control F
That
here.
seems like a pretty partisan issue.
No mentions of the filibuster in this piece.
That would be not very bipartisan of you to use the filibuster. So I would venture to guess that he's against reforming the filibuster.
Yeah. Well, it's part of tradition, and that shouldn't change.
Right.
No, and if, we need to compromise if everyone can't agree.
California was the first state to establish the Congressional Problem Solvers Caucus, comprised of 25 Democrats and 25 Republicans. The Forum for Compromise, as it's described, is committed to putting partisanship aside to find workable solutions and create results. I believe part of this was to sabotage their state's attempt at a single-payer healthcare system, but he doesn't mention that.
Folks, we need to be a lot more like California. I heard things there in their state government are going really well, and there's really no problems there. It's really a utopia. I think we need to be just like them, and I think a really good way to get normal, everyday Iowans on your side is to be like, hey, we need to be like California.
People love that. I have a cousin who says that he'd never move to California because they have, quote, too many laws.
Oh, yeah. I have a cousin
Honestly,
like that as well.
I
Yeah,
can't
same.
disagree.
Yeah.
We're all related, actually.
I love getting those stickers on any product that says, like, this product contains chemicals that are known to cause cancer to the state of
Yes.
California.
But not to anyone else.
The problem with those that I have is it's like, well, they cause cancer everywhere. Just
Yeah.
California makes them disclose it. But at the same time, it's kind of the boy who cried wolf. If everything's like that, you're like,
Right.
fuck it. And then it becomes a joke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, like, within the walls of government, like, compromise and, like, coalition building is important, but it's like, you can't do that when, like, they're not negotiating, like, the Republican Party is not fucking negotiating with you. It's like what they say about trying to negotiate with, like, fucking terrorists or whatever. Like,
Yeah, and coalitions make more sense when there's like multiple
yeah.
groups who all there's some like ideological diversity instead of what we have, which is
Yeah.
just two giant parties that represent pretty much the same people.
Yeah, I think you could probably draw a line to, like, all of the AOC uproar that's going on right now,
Yeah.
where it's like, I don't know, it's complicated for sure.
That's like a whole episode.
Yeah. But it's just like, everyone's just like, either you're a traitor or you're, like, the perfect representative or whatever.
You're a comrade or you're
And
a
it's
traitor.
like, it's
No in
either
between.
you completely break ties with the Democrats and just completely go on your own and see what happens, or, like, you're a fucking sympathizer. Like, it's all very
You're a
black and white.
secret CIA controlled mind controlled person because reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, people really think that about AOC though, that she's some sort of
If you're
agent.
an activist on the outside, you don't have to fucking compromise on your values ever.
I mean, that's the moral of the story, right?
Right. But then also, like, there needs to be outside pressure on people like AOC, but you also can't expect AOC to, like, not do her job, which involves, unfortunately, having to, like, make nice with the fucking Democrats to a certain extent.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously,
I mean, you
can
have
argue
to
about tactics, but
you have to accept that reality, and you should have accepted that reality from the beginning and not placed very much hope in one member of Congress
Right.
who seemed like pretty cool, but like that's not going to be enough to overcome this fucking blob, you know?
Yep. And she's definitely said some pretty
she's been
dumb
pretty
shit lately.
fucking dumb recently.
She has been on one. It's been terrible.
But I think there's some like cognitive dissonance with the people who are like super psycho about, the purity of everyone, the purity of your essence. No fluoride, but like seriously about the purity stuff, where it's like people aren't pure though. Like the people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis are not pure, never will be pure, and to expect that of them, I think, is insane. And so when they project that onto like politicians, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's all very complicated, but like, I don't know, I just get annoyed. It's like this, it's like the inverse of the hero worship. Like I said, it's like the same thing where people have to like Obama because he's like a nice guy or whatever. And like, obviously, he's smart and he has our best interests in mind. But
he
then
seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's Beyonce's friend.
He shook my hand once. Unironically, I did shake Obama's hand once before he got elected, and he was very nice. But then he did things in office that were bad.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think that, like, Obama, like, I mean, it's hard to say for certain, like, where personally, how bad of a person he is individually. Bad, for sure.
I guess different kinds of bad. You mean like to his wife or something?
No.
Or like,
no, I just mean like to what extent his
thing.
Like
there's different types of bad.
He's bad.
I'm just saying it's more complicated than either like every politician is a hero or a fucking traitor. Like,
I don't know. I think every politician is a traitor. Am I kicked out of the club?
Well, no. It's not that they're a traitor. You should never assume that they're on your side ever in the first place. They can't betray you if they were never yours to begin with.
Okay,
you should
how
hate
about
them
I say,
from the start.
Yes, I say all politicians are untrustworthy because they are serving not my interests and they never will be.
Because they're politicians.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing too.
By definition.
Yeah, it's like they're elected to do a very nasty job.
It's kind of like where we were talking about the gun thing, where, they filled out the form and they checked the box. And then after the fact, we're like, hey, you checked the box, you idiot. You're a goddamn politician.
Okay, well, we're talking about complicated stuff with complicated solutions, but I think Steve Corbin can correct us. This isn't actually complicated. He has a very simple solution. So let me just finish what he has for us, some advice. So he's talking about the California Problem Solvers Caucus. Among their ideas is to consolidate and reorganize California's 200 state agencies, operate with a 2-year budget cycle with 1 year focused on oversight, and streamline the legislative process.
None of those words are good.
Doesn't that all just make
consolidate and
sense?
streamline mean cut?
Yeah.
Again, this is exactly what I'm thinking as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, anytime it comes down to the budget, it's about cutting. Both parties
reform. I'm talking about reform.
I don't know how you can read that and not just be super excited,
Hell yeah. Streamline. Consolidate. We love it. Gets the people going.
The simpler the government is, the better it will work. The less going on, the more good. Over 225 years ago, George Washington called political parties the worst enemy and the ruin of liberty. We're witnessing that in Iowa, aren't we?
I wonder which party
I think
this
we're
guy's
witnessing
from.
that, like, countrywide, like, worldwide.
Over 225 years ago, George Washington owned slaves and lost all of his teeth. We should listen to him.
And then he tore the teeth out of his slaves and put them in his mouth. I cannot emphasize that enough.
I'd done the same thing if I were him.
Oh my God, Alan.
See, that's what I'm saying.
It was the time. It was the style at the time.
It's not so black and white, is it?
It is absolutely black and white. You can't say that.
It was the style at the time.
Exactly.
I'm not saying it was right. I'm not saying it was good.
Wouldn't it be novel if Iowa's legislators would create their own Problem Solvers Caucus? Ask your senator and representative if they are interested in being a member of a bipartisan group and help launch the caucus. If their answer is no, do you really want him or her representing you?
Yes.
Let's end partisanship in Des Moines before it further destroys Iowa.
I just, like, again, like, people have, like, actual disagreements. Like, I just don't understand.
The actual problems that he identified at the beginning of this article, what were the source of all of those problems?
Yeah, every single one.
All of those were one party causing all of the issues. It's not the concept of a party that's causing these problems. It is the Republicans doing it.
Centrism is a disease.
It's not the idea of belonging to a political party that is passing voter suppression laws or eliminating any requirements for buying a gun. It is one group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think I need to clarify that the Republicans are the most evil scumbags that ever lived. Like, just because we spend most of our time ragging on the Democrats, like, fuck, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though, is that you can't...
I think we're pretty balanced on this show.
Yeah, we do both, but it's like...
They're bad for different reasons.
It's like, I don't expect anything better from Republicans because they've consistently shown that they are not capable of anything better.
They don't
pretend. They're not selling themselves that way.
Yeah.
You know, Democrats are trying to, have
it
in some
both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why they're frustrating. And that's why, like, we're all reformed liberals or whatever. Maybe. I mean, we're probably still pretty fucking lib.
I'm going to give myself a couple more
God.
concussions and then we'll see what happens.
But, like, yeah, that's what's so frustrating is just the fucking, like, hypocrisy where it's like they say that they want better things, but, like, in practice, they don't. Like, they really don't.
Yeah, when the opportunity comes, it's like, no, let's be reasonable now.
Yeah.
But what do the Republicans think?
It's just about managing... it's about they want to be managers.
What if the Republicans got mad at us? We wouldn't be able to handle
They
that.
don't want to do anything that upsets the status quo. They want to manage the status quo and massage it in a way that makes it more palatable to, like, the fucking bougie people who vote,
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of that, when Steve Corbin suggested contacting our representatives, I did exactly that. I screenshotted that part of the article where he said he wanted a problem solvers caucus in the Iowa legislature. I tagged Zach Walz, my state senator, because he's a hip millennial. I figured he'd probably actually look at it.
He's the Senate minority leader, man.
Exactly. Like, he's my state senator. He also has a lot of power in the legislature. And I said, hey, I tagged him. I said, Zach Walz, please do not do this. And he replied. He said, we've got a bipartisan, quote, future caucus of millennial lawmakers, but we've got a pretty narrow focus on population growth and brain drain.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's it's a value neutral thing, population growth.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not loaded at all.
I do think it's good that it's not just a broad problem solvers caucus. I don't know if bipartisan solutions with the Republican Party of Iowa is really going to solve brain drain in Iowa.
You know what that is? It's just like tax incentives and shit, or it's like shitty marketing campaigns to like try to get you know what, if you're a young millennial, like, this is professional
cool
class person, then like
Start
it's actually
Iowa.
really a great place to start your family, you know?
It's really cheap here.
It's really cheap here.
I think that's really the only thing that we got now is it's really cheap here.
And again, that's not about actually serving Iowa citizens. That's about trying to fucking draw in people from other states to move here. So
inject money from elsewhere.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, the reason I said that is because, I mean, the Republicans are actively destroying Iowa's education system.
Right,
So,
yeah.
I mean, the idea of someone, like, going to college here and then just staying, like, that's going away because they're defunding the state universities and eliminating tenure, so no one's going to want to teach there.
I mean, they're pretty much telling young people, please fuck off.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that you're going to find a lot of bipartisan solutions in that area.
The good news is, they'll probably win in 2022. Or Republicans, whatever. They're the same thing.
I am going to keep my brain here. I'm sorry, you cannot push me out of this state.
You cannot drain my brain.
Yeah. My non-college degree having ass is going to stay here.
Evan's going to be a
And
brain
I'm going
in
to
a
make
jar.
the best of it.
Joke's on you, I'm not going anywhere and I'm a dipshit.
Yeah.
Brain's already drained, baby.
Yeah, I never
Already
went to
drained.
college either.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
I'm sorry, I'm not ambitious enough.
Hell yeah, brother.
I'm sorry, I'm just not ambitious enough. So, like, I'm going to
I
stay
just
here,
don't give
and
a
I'm going to
shit.
probably still keep saying shit on the podcast, and maybe it'll make a difference at some point. Probably not.
Dude, it does though. Like, because Alan is a big reason that I got like radicalized, because he said mean stuff to me and hurt my feelings about when I was talking about how the ACA was good and he was mean and it worked. And that's why I was mean. This podcast is important.
I think really what did it for me was just yelling at you about Hamilton specifically. Because Hamilton specifically drives me insane. So
it should, but the music is really good, okay? But yeah, the like it's I know.
Don't listen to
I know.
Alan about music. He's wrong. He's always wrong.
I don't know if he's wrong in
agree.
this case.
The cultural impact, like the
Stop clock,
evilness
stop
of
clock.
it, can't be overstated. But I just whatever. This was
listen,
before
I
that.
understand, but just look yourself in the mirror and remember that you're defending Hamilton. And I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I
can't do
defended
it.
Hamilton like 5 years ago when we had that argument. I am not defending it now.
And now look where we're at.
I was wrong and you were right 5 years ago, and now I'm right now. Always.
Yeah, that's true. I'm bullying online again. I'm sorry, everyone.
Well, with that, I think we've covered a nice little spread of Iowa bullshit.
I do have a correction.
Okay.
There are more questions on the ATF for 4473.
Yeah, let's hear 'em,
including
yeah.
my favorite. Have you ever renounced your United States citizenship?
Like, officially, or...
Or like
That's just the question.
I declare bankruptcy.
Yeah, if you've ever done it, then you can't buy a gun.
I'm renouncing it right now.
If
Does
I
this
tweeted
count?
"Death to America," does that qualify?
See, I don't know. It just says, have you ever renounced your United States citizenship?
I'm
And it's
renouncing
a yes or no
it
question.
right now, and now I can't get.
Yeah, now you're doomed.
There's no like elaborate place you can fill
No,
in.
and then
See
there's just,
reverse.
are you an illegal alien? Like, are you an alien admitted under a non-immigrant visa? If you have, blah, blah, blah. There's some other questions. It's unimportant. Point is, real easy. Don't worry about it.
Just mark no on all of them.
Well, there is some yeses. You
Oh, okay.
just have some discretion.
Just think, what do I need to say for this person to give me a gun? And just choose that answer.
So apparently
Yeah.
renunciation is an actual process, and you have to sign
But
an oath.
legally. Answer the questions truthfully. Wink. Anyway, that's all. That's it. Good night,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. Good night. Alan is now in charge, and that was the end of the show right there. It ended 5 seconds ago. Thank you for listening. Thank you for draining your brains with us. Do we need to say anything else? The Slipknot episode is out. If you weren't aware, it's up on our Patreon. It's pretty
I don't know
good.
how people
I think.
can listen to that garbage. Not the episode. Slipknot.
See, again, don't listen to Alan's opinions about music. Even if Natalie agrees with him on this one.
Wait, maybe I was talking about the podcast.
I agree with him on this one, but I don't endorse how you're mean. It's not garbage. I just don't like it.
I'm sorry in advance. I'm extremely problematic. Good night.
I'm just saying Alan's taste has not changed at all since high school. He still likes the same shit.
About anything ever.
You like rap music that sounds like it was produced in the 80s, even if it came out in 2020?
People were, posting all that stuff about Spotify, and what they listened on Spotify.
Yeah.
And all I listened to is MF Doom on Spotify. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously nothing wrong with MF Doom, but it's just funny. If I send you anything that has like anything that's like kind of a, like modern sounding beat.
Evan,
Yeah.
please don't. Just don't
This
even.
wasn't composed on an 808 drum machine. I don't want to hear it.
Alan's a
Yeah.
fucking backpacker, dude. Backpacker Alan.
I don't know what that means, but, I'm for it.
Well, that's what you are, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. All right. That's all. See ya.
All right. Good night.
Bye.